Welcome to By George, an 80 Players podcast here at the George Theater. I am your host and marketing associate, Miranda Zabes, and today I have with me, you know him, you love him, you've seen him in almost all of the shows this past season. We have Daniel Z. Miller.
Hi, Miranda.
How are you doing?
I'm good. It's really good to be here.
I can see the expression on your face if I go like that you've been in most of our shows this season. There's a little like excitement, but also like a little pullback. What is that?
I don't know. It just feels silly to have someone say, you know him and you love him. It's like, I don't know, do they? I hope so.
Daniel, Daniel, can I tell you? And I'm not doing this to blow smoke, but the amount of people, so I house manage, I usher, I do all of that. And I have people coming, and this is me kind of also blowing up smoke, but people come up to me and they ask me about the podcast all the time, like, when are you going to do another episode and all that kind of stuff. And the amount of people that have come up to me like, you have to interview Daniel. Why haven't you interviewed Daniel yet? Why haven't you? I'm like, I don't know. I'm so busy and he's busy.
We're all so busy.
It's so busy here. But yeah, no, people
well,
love
that's
you.
Sweet. It's really sweet to have it's really sweet to have become so involved here at the George and at the 80 Players, having grown up with it myself. Which, side note, the kids were making fun of me for saying the 80 Players.
Which kids?
Like the kids in this show.
Oh, okay.
The youth ensemble in this show were making fun of me for saying the 80 Players.
Yeah.
And they were saying, it's just 80 players. And I was like, is it? Is it just 80 players now? Because in my time, when it was like, you know, the 80 Players and it was a company at the Grace Theater, it was like the 80 Players. I don't know.
Well, and this is kind of like inside baseball.
I guess now it's like 80 Players at the George.
Well, what we're trying to do, yes, basically. But what we're trying to do in marketing, and we haven't officially told anybody yet, is that we are just calling it the George. Because the hope is one day that we will have multiple theaters under the name of 80 Players, but then you'll know each of the locations by the name of the theater. That
makes sense.
So we're calling it the George is here, but the entire company as a whole is the 80 Players. You are correct. Okay. But I can kind of see where they're coming from, because it's like calling it like the YouTube
Facebook,
or the Facebook.
The Kroger.
Right?
Yeah. The Walmart. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, all that to say, it's really cool to become so involved here at the George, just having grown up with the 80 Players, both as a viewer when I was like 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, going to see the TYA stuff that y'all were doing in the round. And it's kind of like full circle to be so involved these days. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about that. Like, how did you get into theater? And like, obviously, so you came and saw shows here way back when, and then kind of your process to like being in shows here.
Yeah. So I got into theater because my brother was into theater. My brother, Thomas, and so I'm the youngest of four boys. So like a lot of my childhood was kind of drifting between what my three older brothers already like to do. Yeah. And one of those things was when I was 10, my brother Thomas did a musical theater summer camp, and I didn't go to the first day because I was too nervous. I was like, I don't think I want to do this. And then he came back and he told me how much fun it was. So I went on Tuesday. And that was at CYT Houston way back in 2007, I think, in the summertime. And then since then, it was I just fell in love with it, and I've been doing shows ever since. But I was part of a homeschool co-op when I was around that age, and they were familiar with the 80 Players. And we had just moved to Texas like a year prior. So we didn't know what anything was, and we didn't know anything about Houston. And this homeschool co-op was like, hey, there's a theater downtown where we go to see shows, and they have a main stage where they do like shows not for adults, but like, you know, where they do their like professional shows, and then they have like their theater for young audiences, like subgroup, which is also professional, but just for young audiences.
Right.
And so I went to a fair amount of those. I think the first thing I ever saw actually on the main stage at the Grace might have been, I think it was Pride and Prejudice in like 2007. Don't really remember it. Yeah.
Okay.
But that was great. That was super cool. And then the first time that I was ever actually involved as an actor was in 2011. I played Claude Herdman in the main stage production of the best Christmas pageant ever.
This is wild.
Okay. Yeah. Are you saying that because you saw all of these shows?
No, I didn't see that shows. No. Could you imagine if I had? No, when you said Pride and Prejudice, my eyes got wide because my cousin is the only other like artistic person in my family.
Yeah.
And he worked at 80, or he like did acting here when he was a kid. And so when you say Pride and Prejudice in 2007, I'm like, I think he was in that show.
Oh my gosh.
Which would be crazy. Because how small, again, like, it's me and him are the only two creative. Everybody else is STEM.
Yeah.
How we both, like,
on,
wound
STEM.
up here is crazy. And then to you, and, like, your story here is, anyways.
Yeah.
No, I say best Christmas, but the best Christmas pageant ever is because that's what we're doing next season.
Yeah.
So again, like, kind of like a full circle
It
thing.
is. And, like, you can cut this if this isn't public knowledge, but, like, you know, there's you know, one of our members of the youth ensemble is playing Imogene Herdman. And it was so fun talking to her and being like, oh my gosh, you're going to be in this show at the 80 Players. That was my first show at the 80 Players. That was the first time anyone ever paid me to do theater.
Yeah.
They gave me great. I don't know, $100 gas stipend per week. And I was like 12 years old. I was like, I'm rich. I did it. Like, oh my gosh. But yeah, I did that and then saw a lot more shows there. And I think the next time I worked for them was when they did Godspell at the Grace, not to be confused with the one that they did here at the George in, I think, 2016. Might have been 2016 or 17. Back in 2012, they did it at the Grace, and it was the first time I think they'd ever done a musical on their main stage. Yeah, I was 17, and they took a chance on me, and they cast me in that show, and that was the show that kind of made me realize, like, oh, I think I need to do this. I think I can do this, and I think I need to. Because up to that point, I thought I was going to either go into, like, I don't know, maybe opera performance or maybe a music education degree. I didn't really know. I just knew it was going to have something to do with music.
Right.
And then I did Godspell at the 80 Players, and I was like, oh, I have to try this. Like, I have to do it. And I kind of pivoted and started auditioning for, auditioning for musical theater programs before my senior year. And, yeah, now this is what I do.
That's crazy. But so you haven't always been at 80 Players, right? So you've traveled around as well.
Yeah.
You've gone to New York. You did some stuff in Florida, right? And you found your way back
Oh my gosh,
to 80
found
Players.
my way back to 80 Players.
What was that journey kind of like?
Yeah. So it's just, I mean, the life of an actor is not a life of stability. So, yeah, I went to school at Texas State University, got a BFA in musical theater. And then this is kind of fun. My wife and I got married actually before I even graduated. We got married like the summer between my junior and senior year.
That's awesome.
So yeah, we were married. We were like, okay, let's do life together. Let's see what this like acting life is all about.
Yeah.
And she's incredible. Even then, she was like, she wasn't super interested in like going into performance professionally, but she's also a performing artist. And kind of gravitates more toward being a teaching artist. So she teaches private voice. She like does music. She does like direction for musicals, but her passion is like working with kids. So that's a sneak peek because we did a lot of that in Florida. But yeah, so I graduated and then moved to New York. I'm trying to think of the timeline and how all of this went down because it was kind of crazy. We went on tour. We traveled on tour together in the first national tour of Anastasia, which was really, really cool. COVID shut us down in March of 2020. And then we were kind of in limbo at my parents' house for a time and then her parents' house for a time because we thought they were going to get the tour going again. And every week they're like, okay, we managed to push the theater that we were going to be in this week to like the end of the tour. So like they kept on rebooking things. And then eventually they were like, we're calling it. It's done.
Oh, man.
So then from there, we were kind of just like, where do we go? We moved to Florida. We had family in Florida, and I kind of figured performance opportunities will probably start happening in Florida before they start happening anywhere else in the country.
Well, at the time with COVID and everything, right?
Yeah. And Florida, we like to say that Florida was kind of the Wild West during that time, which, you know, Universal and Disney, very responsible companies. And like when they did bring performance back, there were like measures in place and like all that good stuff. But yeah, they brought performance back at those parks like potentially years before a lot of like other theaters like were even doing live shows. So I worked at Universal for a little bit, which is super fun as a performer. And that was fun and different because I wasn't really performing strictly in a, you know, theatrical stage space. It was like I was a scare actor for their Halloween event, and I was just popping out at people, or I was a Who at Christmas time. So I was just running around, you know, Seuss Landing and then I was in like their Mardi Gras parade. But yeah, it was also while we were down there, my wife and I worked at a theater called Theater South Playhouse in Orlando. And we got really involved teaching there. Neither of us ever actually performed there, but she stage managed and directed for a couple of their youth programs. I music directed for a couple of their youth program musicals. We did The Lion King. We did Willy Wonka. It was great. And then we did a ton of summer camps there as well. And that was just a really sweet time because we were just both kind of employed. It was the first time that we were employed doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Because technically during Anastasia, when we were traveling, we were both employed by the company. She worked front of house selling merchandise, and I worked back of house in the ensemble of that show. So that was the first time where it was like, oh, we're both working at the same job, like actually in the same position, doing the same thing,
absolutely.
collaborating in that way. So that was cool. And then after that, it was actually Allie's idea, because I, at that point, was kind of like, okay, we've been in Florida for 3 years. I've always wanted to be in New York for a time and just see what could happen, because I'd only lived in New York for 3 months prior to booking that tour, and then COVID and everything. So I was like, but I was kind of starting to let go of the idea of like, I don't think I'm going to live in New York again, because we knew that like that wasn't where we were going to be forever. We knew that wasn't really where we wanted to have kids.
Yeah.
And I mean, frankly, the only reason Allie ever set foot in New York was because I asked her to. Like, so she also was like, this isn't my number one city. So I was like, I had let go of the idea of going back to New York.
Yeah.
And it was actually Allie who said, hey, the Holy Spirit's literally been placing this on my heart for 2 weeks. So now I have to say it because he won't leave me alone about it. I think we need to move back to New York City. Because we had talked about like moving adjacent to the city and like, what if we like tried to build a life with some amount of like normalcy and stability outside of the city, but that, one or both of us still had access to the city in the event that like we got work there.
Right.
And basically what Allie's prompting was, and also Allie's common sense was she basically came to me and was like, I think that's silly. I think if we're moving because of what we want our relationship to the city to be, I think we have to be in the city.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, like seriously? Because I had literally like already like kind of moved on, and I was like,
yeah,
I think that chapter of my life, I was like,
yeah.
I think, I think that chapter of my life is done. And I think like we reevaluate what a non-crazy life looks like, a non-traveling all the time, but we had 3 more years of a crazy life in New York City. And yeah, that was a really sweet season because we kind of figured out how to find stability and find our rootedness, even in a place like New York City.
Right.
And it was the first time that I figured out, I was just talking to my friend Abigail, who's in this show as our dance captain in swing, about this topic, which is that was the first time that we figured out how to pay our bills, have friends, and like not be miserable in the city. And any actors out there, we were literally, the thing that Abigail said to me that struck me is, if you're planning on moving to New York City, the goal in the first, I'm going to say 2 or 3 years, is not to book Broadway, is not to like book a national tour, is not to be working in theater a lot. The goal is to pay your bills, make friends, and not be miserable. Like, and it won't look like you've done a lot after you've accomplished that. That's like that's most of the battle for anyone moving to New York. Is the win is that you made friends, you're paying your bills, and you're not miserable.
Right.
If you can get there, then you can actually have a sustainable life to where you won't be quite so desperate. You won't be desperate for like theater work to come and save you.
Right.
And then it may actually happen, So there was a year and a half when we moved to New York for that stint where, I mean, I was working at a restaurant. It was a really great job. Like, it was high end. The first and only job where I've actually had like real benefits, and it was at a restaurant.
Whoa.
And they like straight up gave me health insurance.
Let's go name drop them. No.
Yeah, Manhattan. If you ever are in the city, go to Manhattan. Part of the Danny Meyer USHG family of restaurants. So good. Anyway. All that to say, I'm rambling a lot, so cut down as much of this as you want.
No. I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to leave it all in. And here's why. Because I think it's so fascinating. And everybody says the same thing when I ask them the question.
Yeah.
But I love seeing how God works in each aspect of our life, right? Because hindsight is 2020, and for all of the actors or crew or anybody who wants to work in theater out there who are in a season of feeling stuck or in a season of like, I don't know if I'm going to make it, or I don't know this and that, to hear other people's stories and see the winding road that it takes is so helpful, because it's not going to look how we think it is. And I love that you're saying like, wherever you go, because I'm like, we've talked about this of like, I've always wanted to move to LA, but it's super scary to move to LA.
It is super scary to move
to New York. But when you put it in a context of like, okay, I wouldn't go out there to like work on the next like Christopher Nolan film, right? It'd be, I go out there to make friends, pay the rent, and not be miserable. You're like, that puts it in such a context of like, now that is a great foundation to get to that next thing that you want. Right?
And then I'll be living there when Christopher Nolan does make his next movie, you know, like,
exactly.
Then I'll already be there.
And I'll already have like, cause then cause it's hectic. Cause when you actually get the job in theater, when you get the job in film, when you get the job, it provides so much chaos. It's what you wanted. But if you don't have that stability, you're like, well, where's that rootedness? Right? So
the head of my department, former head of my department at Texas State University, amazing performing artist, amazing teacher, amazing educator, Caitlin Hopkins, one of the things that she like really impressed upon us, because most of the people in my musical theater program moved to New York post-graduation. Not everybody does. And the thing that she always told us was, she was like, listen, you're a senior right now, right? You're about to graduate. Do you remember what it felt like to be a freshman? Do you remember what it felt like to be a sophomore? Looking back at it now, senior year, does it feel like you really knew anything at all? And the way that she framed it was, she was like, you are going to get to New York City. There are going to be people there who have been there literally 3 years longer than you, 4 years longer than you. And you're going to say like, how are they getting into these rooms? How are they getting these opportunities? It doesn't matter what school you went to. You are a freshman in New York City. The next year, you will be a sophomore in New York City. Remember what that meant for you in college, and like apply that to the city, and you're going to have a better time. Like, you know, and it really was just this perspective of like, no, if you're going to be there pursuing anything in any field related to this, anything in the arts, you have to build a life that works for you. Because it's a marathon, not a sprint, you know, like it's gonna feel slow, and the wins are going to be, great, now I can pay my bills. Great, now I have some friends. Like, great, I know where I'm gonna live. You know, I like, now I have a life. You know, and then you start pursuing the opportunities that you want to pursue. For me, it's, you know, musical theater, so I'm going into audition rooms and. And the job really was, and this was that first year and a half moving back to the city, like, the job really was just like, find a job that works in terms of being able to also go to auditions. So I got the restaurant job. I only worked evenings. All the auditions in New York City happened during work hours during the day. So I was like, great, check that box. And then it was literally just like, okay, and I'm just going to show up. You know, I'm just going to, I didn't have an agent at that point. And so what I like learned to trust in was like, what I know that I need to do first is pay the bills and take care of my family. And if that means that there's only margin for like 2 or 3 or 4 auditions, then I just need to trust God like crazy that the right one is going to be one that I happen to show up to. You know, I might not get to every single one because I don't have the margin to be the husband that I want to be in my family and also work the hours that I need to physically pay the bills in New York City. 100%. And so it was literally just like, so I'm just going to trust that if I just stay in motion and be where I know I'm supposed to be, which is in the auditions that feel like a good fit, then I'm going to trust that if something's supposed to happen, then it will happen, you know? And I got really close to a couple things and like final callbacks for some things, and then it went to somebody else and like had my ice cream days, which is what I call it when, you know, you don't get the job and then you take a day and you eat ice cream and then you get on the horse the next day. I had my ice cream days and, you know, went back to work at the restaurant and just kept going. And it was, you know, we got rooted into a church. We like found an amazing community. And that year and a half was really like, oh, we live in New York City and it's actually working, you know, like our lives are stable, and Daniel is like slowly in pursuit of this job that he wants to do. It was a really cool time. And then I'll tell this story because it's just crazy. We had this crazy thing happen where after many conversations, Allie and I kind of come to the conclusion that we want to start having children, which was news to us because in our head, in our like special perfect timeline, it was always like, let's not be in the city and then maybe we'll bring children into the world, you know? And we just both kind of felt this calling in our heart that was like, no, actually, I think we're supposed to start now. And I think it'll be okay. And so we had that conversation. Yeah. And we're both like feeling on the same page about like, okay, great, let's grow our family. And in the same moment, it was crazy. It was these like three things at the same time. And the three things were, our apartment was so small and it was great for Allie and I, but we needed a bigger place if we were going to have children. So we told our landlord that we were going to not live there and not renew our lease. And then we were like a month out from the lease being over and we didn't have a place to go. Ooh. So we were like, great. So we're going to trust. New York apartment turnover is so high. It's normal that people find apartments 2 weeks before they need them. Feels crazy in Houston. So that was like one thing that we were like, okay. And, let's hope we have a place to live in a month, so we'll add that to the prayer list and trust about that. At the same time, we're kind of like having these conversations about getting pregnant and having children. So that's like also in play. And we're like, I hope we can find an apartment that has the space that we need, in case we get pregnant. Yeah. And then at the same time, I was in final callbacks for a show called Harmony, which was opening on Broadway. And in the span of in 1 week, Miranda, and I'm trying to remember the order of events. I think the order of events was, I know which one came last, but I'm going to screw up the first two. I think the order of events was, we got approved for an apartment that was literally like 2 blocks from where we already lived and perfect. Praise God. Praise God. Within the same week, 2 days later, we found out that Allie was pregnant.
Praise God.
And then 2 days after that, we found out that I booked the job on Broadway. And it was literally just like this moment where it was like, one thing would happen and we were like, literally we said the words, so what's not going to happen? Yeah. Because there's no way that all three of these things are going to happen, right? And then the apartment happened and the pregnancy happened and I was like, it was funny because I was like, I need this job more than ever now. But like, there's no way all three of these things happen, right? That's just not the way like our lives have gone. There's always like something that you're like, I'll just have to figure out how to do without that. And it was just this insane week of like joy where we found out all those three things. And then, that show ran for 4 months. Yeah. And it was just another example of God saying like, here's this like amazing, incredible thing. And you're going to have it for exactly as long as you need to have it. Yeah. And it ran for 4 months. Yep. And then it closed 3 weeks before my son was born.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God.
And I was like, okay, like, all right.
Are you saying?
And I went back to the restaurant and it was great. It all worked out. But it was literally just like, it's so funny. You learn really quickly, like my wife and I always call it like hand to mouth with God. Yeah. Like you learn really quickly as an actor that like, especially as an actor of faith, that like, it's literally just like, okay, well, whatever you've got next, like, I'm here whenever you want to tell me what it is. Like, and that really what, like, every job I've had has been like that. I signed a year-long contract with Harmony and I had this like picture of like, oh my gosh, this is such a good show. Surely this show will sell and surely it will run for at least a year. And a year on this salary will like set us up for literally wherever we want to go from here. And then it played for like 4 months. It was just one of those things where it was like, if that was something that I needed to have, I would still have it. And if I don't have it, if I trust that God is providing me with everything that I need, that I don't need that thing anymore. Right. Which is hard. But and then we were there for like another year and some change. We ended up moving back to Houston when my son was a little over 1. He was like 1 and 4 months, 1 and 5 months.
A New Yorker. So he's a New Yorker.
Yeah. And then when we moved, it really was like, it was amazing because Allie had this kind of, epiphany prompting in Florida, which was like, I actually think now is the time where we need to go back to New York City. I think if we don't do it now, I think we're both going to regret it. And I think that if we're going to ever do it, it needs to be now. And then like getting to share kind of that same kind of epiphany after Harmony, it wasn't like Harmony closed and then we were like scrambling, like, oh my gosh, like, where's it? I just went back to the restaurant and that was a great gig. And it was like, yeah, this, it's tight, but this is like sustainable, And so it was a moment where it was like, I just think it's time, I could stay in the city and try to find the next thing. I had kind of like my, my Gideon putting the wool outside and seeing like if it's wetter. There was like the one job at the very end that I got really close to where it was literally like, okay, I think we know we need to go back to Houston. And now the question is it going to be after this contract? Or if I don't get this contract, do we just go?
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, we know we're going either way. So now it's just a matter of whether I get this.
Yeah.
And they got right down to me and one other person. Wow. And the other person got it. And we were like, great. Let's go. Like, let's go. Yeah. Like, all right, that was it. Like, that was it. No regrets,
It's crazy
and
how
truly,
he always
like,
takes
yeah.
you right up to it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, there's no, like, I don't know, hesitancy isn't the right word, but it's like he leaves no room for doubt at the end.
At the end, it was like, there was a lot of peace because it was like, great. I have zero doubt about what the next step is. Right. But yeah, so now we're here. We've been here for 8-9 months now.
Yeah.
We bought a house.
Whoa.
We live in Spring. Like
That's
it's
awesome.
we're here. Like
that's incredible.
Yeah. So that was literally, we moved here right before Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yeah.
In the summer before that.
I can't imagine all that.
And then like during all of that, like back and forth and change and whatever, I did West Side Story here in 2019, which was super fun. That was like fresh out of college. That was my first job out of college. I moved to New York. I came back for West Side Story. It was an awesome contract. It was so much fun. Yeah. Went back to New York, and then the rest of it happened. And then I was in Esther. Like 2 years ago. Yeah.
2 years ago.
And that was really fun. Got to play Haman. Yeah. So like throughout my time, every once in a while, I get an email from, Kevin Dean or, Jamie McGann, and they'll be like, hey, do you want to submit a tape for this? We're just, you might be right for this. You should submit a tape.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works out that I'm right for it.
Right.
And any chance that I get to work at the George, I'm literally over the moon.
Well, it's so cool to hear, like, because I had heard whisperings of a Daniel when I first started working here, which is crazy to think. And again, I'm not blowing smoke, I promise you. But I had heard whispers, and it was like, oh, but he's in New York. Yeah. And then you came down for Esther, and you came in like for other auditioning and things like that.
And the workshops for Brother Andrew before Brother Andrew got staged.
100%. But it was always like, oh yeah, and he's back up in New York now. Like he's doing his New York thing, and it's like, but now for you, and to be so close to these 3 shows, for you to like officially move back down here, I don't know, it just feels so like God tapping you on the shoulder, like, hey, like just remember, like down here,
this was the right move.
It's just, I don't know, I just think it's fascinating. But so like let's jump in to like Narnia, Brother Andrew, and Joseph.
Wow.
Because this is, I want to go into West Side Story because that's a whole story in and of itself.
Oh my gosh,
but
crazy story.
I want to get to these 3 shows.
Yes.
It's fascinating because you talk about, especially in your time of New York and like hand to mouth and like in God and everything, like his provision. And I just keep thinking of like Brother Andrew, and like that's the whole gist of that story. What was it like? I know I'm kind of skipping over Narnia, but what was it like embodying that character and going from like doing all of these workshops to having it like up on stage?
It was amazing. I mean, it's really unlike any other piece I've ever done. And it's really unlike any other performance opportunity I've ever had. Yeah. Yes, I've never originated like a lead role in a brand new musical. So that in and of itself is like incredibly artistically fulfilling. But then, to your point, like the thing that really struck me about him was the character of Andrew. I read God's Smuggler in 2023 when I found out about the first workshop when we were just doing the first act, and I was like, I should probably read this book and figure out who this is because I'd never heard of him. And I mean, it's like radical. It's like actually a little bit insane.
Yes.
And it's like the kind of insanity that can only come from someone who like is super, super desperate. And like you read about his upbringing and it's like, yeah, he had nothing. He had no opportunities. He had nothing post World War II in the Netherlands, like barely an education. So like, what do you do? And it's like he, you know, Christ finds him broken after this military campaign that, you know, leaves him in shambles. And there's just this radical dependence on God that he like learns to exhibit from his time as he learns to become a missionary, where you read these stories of like the training that he does at this missionary school. I think it's in Scotland early on in his life, where literally they'll give each of the students $1 and say, all right, you're going to go on your first mission trip. Here's $1. Your job is to go here, try to find a community, you know, preach the word, come back to us, and we expect the $1 back. Like, we expect you to pay us back the $1.
Right.
And like,
and that's all
you're
you
reading
have.
it and it's like, and it's so funny reading that because you're like, I could never do that. And it's like, well, actually, I guess I've never actually tried. You know, we talk about trust, we talk about dependence, and it's like, we talk about testing and times where it's like, gosh, I didn't realize like how little I trusted God in this area until I had to.
Right.
And it's like, well, especially living in America, especially, you know, coming from my home with like a dad who had a really good job and like being in the middle class, it's like, well, actually, like how often have I ever like actually said, I have nothing here. The only thing I can do is trust, you know? And that was his whole story. And so then as he moves into his own mission work, and he literally just starts by himself. Just, I guess I'll put a Bible in my car and I guess I'll drive it to the, you know, the communist border of these countries. And I guess I'll just drive it across and hope that I find the right people. Like, I guess like no support system, no network. Like, he's writing home to people who are praying for him. And like every once in a while people will like supply him with things, but like, it's literally, I don't know. I think we always have this idea that like, the infrastructure already has to be in place before we can begin the work.
Oh, 100%.
And something that really strikes me about Andrew is like this idea of like, actually, no, like God was directing your steps and preparing the good works that he had in store for you to do. And you just kept walking. Yeah. So then getting to do that show and also doing that show in the context of like everything that's happened in my life with like never really knowing what's coming next. Always the next thing is coming. When the next thing comes, it's always almost explicitly like, can't take credit for that. Like that was,
no,
you know, like so many times in my life where it's like, can't say I did that.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. He leaves no room for doubt in it.
Yeah. And so like, there's just, that was really, really cool. And also really cool to perform a role that is so, you know, so personal. People would ask me after the show, you know, oh my gosh, like how the conversion scene or the scene where he, you know, actually gives his life to Christ. Like, how do you act that in a way that feels like so real? And I like, my only answer is like, it's just personal. Like, it's just, I mean, it's just all of our story as believers. Like we were here and he showed up and now we don't have to be there anymore. You know, we don't have to live in the mess that we made for ourselves. And it's like, gosh, that's it. And then you just like try to let your body react to that, how it actually wants to. And it's like, gosh, how do you not just break down, you know? So really, really special. And working with Neil Morse was like unbelievable. Working with Jason Hart, who also music directed Esther, unbelievable. He did a lot of the vocal arrangements and I'm such a music nerd. So like working with his vocal arrangements and then just I love getting to put something new on its feet when the composer is in the room and like all the creatives who have brought it to that point so far are there. I think it's so exciting. I think it's so fun and it's changing every day and there's new lyrics every day. And Neil thought of something better for this. So we're changing this lyric, you know, after a preview before opening, like, you know, like
that's
it literally
crazy.
like,
I did not know that was happening. That's amazing.
Maybe not that dramatic,
but
we were
I
having
know
changes during tech and we were having changes during which please understand this. I'm not saying this as a complaint or in a negative way. It's one of my absolute favorite things about doing a new work.
Yeah.
Is it's just like, it's just always changing.
Yeah.
Which means that you don't get to, there's just always something new to discover.
Yeah.
More so than usual, because it's like, oh, that lyric wasn't really working. Great. Try this lyric. And now you have to figure out how to act this lyric.
Right.
And it's just like little gear shifts all along the process until you find what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
so
just working
really
out
special.
those little kinks is so
Yeah.
well, because I imagine, like, again, not being somebody who's like on stage or like as a performer, like when you're handed a script, I can just, from like an audience like perspective and like a marketing perspective, you're like, oh, I wish that we could change that line, or we wish that this or that for whatever reason. You know, there's some shows that we want to do and we can't necessarily do at the George, but to have a new work and to be in that creative space and going, okay, well, this isn't working for X, Y, and Z reasons. Let's just change it right now. It's like, whoa, we can just change it. Like,
and that's the really sweet thing about. That was the really actually very sweet and gracious thing about Neil was because I've been a part of a lot of new works, just never in their full form. Like a lot of what I did in New York was doing workshops of new musicals.
Yeah.
Which, if you don't know, it's literally just when someone has written something and they need to know what works and what doesn't. So they hire actors for a week to read the lines and sing the songs. So what that means for me as an actor is one of my like skill sets that gets me hired for a lot of work like that is being a really fast learner, being really good at sight reading music, and being really good at changing things on the fly, and like still being able to sing it as if I've practiced it when this is the second time I've heard it today, and now I'm, you know, singing it for the showcase for all these producers who came to see if there's anything here that maybe they'd want to get on board with.
Yeah.
So like being a part of those processes, sometimes you'll have a composer who's like very open to hearing from the actors of what's working and what's not, because you get a unique perspective from the person who's actually saying the stuff.
Right.
Not always.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're very trusting of the director to get that feedback, and the actors aren't really part of a conversation. One isn't wrong or right.
Right.
And as an actor, I just always know when I go into a space, I've kind of learned to ask now, and I won't ask the composer, I'll ask the director in a process like this. I'll say, how much do y'all want to hear from me about what I'm struggling with in the text, or what I'm having a hard time playing, or what I'm having a hard time justifying? And if you are open to hearing that, who should I be telling it to? You know?
Wow, yeah.
So I actually had that conversation with Jamie, who was directing it, and Jamie was basically like, yeah, actually Neil is very opening to hearing pretty much anything that anybody says about the piece, and you can just tell me and I'll put it through my filter, and then I'll tell him if I think it's worth talking about.
Right.
So it was just a really very more collaborative than usual process, because Neil was very open to the voice of like all of the artists that were in the room and not just the creative team, which was really, really cool. And just getting to have honest conversations about like, and it's fun to have those conversations because me as an actor, sometimes the fix isn't the text, right? Sometimes the fix is, Neil, I didn't know that was what you meant by that.
Yeah.
Let me try to play it that way now.
Yeah.
Now I understand why you wrote it that way, you know? But if you don't have the liberty to like ask, then sometimes you're just kind of like, oh gosh, I have this like Sudoku puzzle of a line, and I don't know, I don't get it. Like,
right.
You know,
yeah.
like, frankly,
what do you
like,
do with
I don't
it?
get it.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know how to play this. And sometimes it's the line, and sometimes it's just like, oh, I hadn't thought about it that way before, you know? So it's just really cool to be in a collaborative process like that.
Absolutely. That's so cool. Like, and I got to see like just the smallest bit of it as well. At some of the rehearsals, or especially like when we got to like the recording to see how you guys were working in that space.
Oh my gosh, that was so cool.
Yeah.
And that was like our victory lap, because we had been through so much during that tech of like changes, and the show is just gargantuan. Like it wasn't anyone's fault. It just took a long time to put up because it's like so long, like, you know, and it's just like this marathon of a thing, and we finally like get it staged, and we finally get it teched, and then we finally like do it. And then like our victory lap was that cast day, that cast recording day. Like, let's have a little party and like sing it one more time. Yeah. So fun.
It was so cool to like see you guys in that space as well, having fun, and like there's some of like the dance moves that you guys are just in it, and you're like, I have to do this as I'm seeing it. It was so good. And I still like, and I think I've mentioned this to everybody, and now everybody knows that this is what I do, because we have all the archival footage, and I'm very grateful that I have access to the archival footage. And what I will do is, on a day that is particularly boring and I need a little pep in my step, I will go back and I will listen to Brother Andrew. I still go back and I listen to Esther, because they're just, the music
I
is
wish
just
I had access to
so
Esther.
good.
I love the music in Esther.
I love the music in Esther. But yeah.
So good.
Okay, jumping back, let's go a little bit of Narnia, but I really want to try and get to Joseph if we have a little bit of time.
What's that?
What's that? What was the... Okay, because Narnia was a bit different, because you were like one of the lead. You were Aslan.
Yeah.
You were one of 3 people like puppeting Aslan.
Yeah.
Like, tell me a little bit about that process and what it was like. Yeah.
It was really cool. It was really challenging.
Yeah.
There's so much special about this show, and there's so much that like really like tested me about this show.
Yeah.
The reason that I'm saying this is really not at the fault of anyone. It was just the nature of the piece.
Yeah.
It was the most stressful show I've ever been a part of. It just in terms of like how much I was thinking about it and how physically involved we all had to be with it. We all, meaning the puppeteers.
Right.
There were 5 of us who touched the various puppets and things.
Yeah.
So we were all super protective of this puppet because it was this beautiful instrument that had been created by Afi Ayani, I think. I think I'm pronouncing that right. But she and an amazing team at her workshop made this puppet specifically for the show. This is both a wonderful gift and also, through no fault of that workshop, just presents challenges because when you're working with something that's brand new and has just been made for the show, that means that when you step into it as a puppeteer, y'all are the ones who are going to find all the little kinks and all the little things 100%. That are like, oh, we didn't anticipate this movement, or we didn't anticipate. So like, it was really cool. It was really, really fun. My puppeteer partners were Carissa Wonder on Aslan's right haunch, and then Eiley Maeve, I think is her professional name, and she was operating the 2 back legs standing behind the puppet. Yep. So the thing that I remember most was we were like so protective of this thing, because I mean we literally felt like the astronauts on Apollo 13, where we would strap ourselves into it and then we'd be like, I hope we can make it back home, like not because there was anything wrong with it, but just because like it's a really short rehearsal process for the kind of puppetry that we were doing. We really had to trust each other, and it was just there were so many moving pieces in that show, and we were so afraid of like knocking it into the wrong set piece and something comes off, or like all of this stuff. And it's the only show I've actually ever had nightmares about while I was actively doing it.
Whoa.
I have nightmares about shows pretty regularly about 2 months after they close. I usually, the nightmare is that the cast has gotten back together and is doing the show again and hasn't told me, and they expect me to like know it and do it, and it's been 2 months, so I don't remember the choreography of the lines.
Oh, Daniel. Oh my goodness.
This is the only show where like I was actually having nightmares about that puppet.
Right.
Just what was going on with it, because it was always changing, because it was brand new.
Yeah.
And I don't want any of this to like sound like a complaint or sound detrimental. It was a really amazing process. It was just really challenging.
Yeah, absolutely.
But really cool. I'll tell you something. My mom absolutely...
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
My mom hated it.
What?
Not the show.
Oh, okay.
My mom hated the design for Aslan. The first thing she said when I finished the show that she saw at opening, she was like, I couldn't see your face at all. She was like, I couldn't see your face the whole show. And I was like, yeah, I'm puppeting a lion. She was like, half the time you were looking away, you were looking upstage. And I was like, yeah, that's what they told me to do.
Yeah.
And my mom had such a hard time getting it. It's so funny because everyone was coming up to us and like the number one compliment we received was like, oh my gosh, like y'all like brought so much expression to him, like through the like coordination that you 3 had, or like, wow, Daniel, like what you did with the head was amazing. Oh my gosh, like the way his feet were like. And then my mom just physically, like, literally couldn't get past the fact that my face wasn't the focus.
I couldn't see my son.
It was so funny. It was so funny. And then I told her, I was like, she was like, I don't know. I don't know about the puppet. I think it should have just been you in a costume. And I was like, that's cool. But, like, were you looking at the puppet at all? And she was like, no, I was kind of just looking at you. And I was like, okay, Mom, the next time you see it, I want you to really just try to watch the puppet and then tell me what you think of the show.
Yeah.
And then she did that. And after the show, she was like, okay, that was pretty cool. Like, it was really cool what you were doing with him. But she just...
Well, because you're her
bless
son.
her, she kind of missed everything
yeah.
that we were doing with the puppet the first time she saw it, because she was like, where is he? Like, why isn't he looking at us? Like,
yeah.
And I'm like sweating with my head upstage as Aslan's looking this way, and I'm like saying the lines, and
golly,
gosh, sometimes making faces at like people behind me on stage because I can, because I don't have to look at
that's the best. But that's
so
the beauty
good.
of being on stage, right? Yeah.
So it's so funny that was the biggest thing about that show, because it's not secondary. The really cool thing about that show was like getting to play an embodiment of Jesus Christ and like all of these like amazing things that like are like kind of bucket list things for actors. Like my bucket list as an actor is like, I'm like, I don't know. I want to play Jesus in Godspell, and I want to play Joseph and like I've done that now, which is great. But it was really cool to like step into just a character with so much gravity, and like even beyond the fact that like canonically he's literal Jesus Christ in the universe of Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Even beyond that, like just such a like well-loved literary character. Like anyone who loves Narnia is like, oh my gosh, like Aslan. I used to have dreams that like Aslan would come and like I would ride on his back and he would like take me to Narnia, and like everybody loves Aslan. Yeah. So like stepping into that was really really cool. And very like humbling. Yeah. And it was interesting because my tendency as an actor is to overthink everything. And that was a show where there wasn't room for really anything except for my instincts for the character. Yeah. Because all of our mental energy was going toward this like this beast, this puppet. Like, so it's kind of like a nice way of being like, hey, actually, you're not actually going to have any time to overthink your actual performance, because all 100% of your mental energy is going to be going towards how not to kill Eiley and Carissa as you're like, you know, I was the only one who wasn't actually strapped to this thing. I was free roaming. At any point, if this puppet fell or if we were going up the stairs and somebody fell, I could let go and step back. Ooh, Carissa is fully strapped to it. Yeah. Eiley is she has like a rock climbing harness that's fully strapped to this thing in the back that's holding it up. Yep. So like anything, I mean, imagine moving a piano with two people and then like two of them are tied to it. Yep. Like all of our mental energy was like, how do we keep each other safe, and how do we trust each other, and how do we like, you know, first and foremost tell this story. 100%. Really humbling and sometimes challenging, but exceedingly rewarding experience. And that was the first show my son ever saw in a theater. My son he hadn't turned 2 yet. He was a little over a year and a half, and that was the first show he ever saw. He came to the all ages show,
how freaking special.
He was locked in for most of it. He was very into it. Yeah, but it was really cool.
Well, I can't imagine. Yeah, you talk about the mental load of it and like in the performance aspect, because I never thought about it that way, that it must take so much of your like brain at the time, like to just move this thing around, and then you're also singing, and you're also that is so complex.
It's the least I've ever thought about singing.
Yeah.
Wow. In a show, and like he sings a lot, but it's just like it was truly like, if you don't go on autopilot, you're gonna kill somebody. Like if you don't put your voice on autopilot and you start thinking like, oh, what do I sound like? Oh, what's going? Let me just tweak the. No, if it's not on autopilot, like you're gonna hit a Pevensey and like you're gonna knock somebody down. Wow. Like you're gonna like something. So it's like 95% of your mental facility is just like, what am I doing with? Where is he? Where is Aslan in the space? And who is he looking at?
Yeah, so backwards from what you usually. Because I feel like you can be in your body, and that's like mental like. It's muscle memory, right? But you're like put voice on muscle. But it sounded great.
And that's kind of that's the funny thing, is that like. And this is what my wife always says to me, is usually when your voice goes into autopilot, if it's something you've prepared for, it's going to sound better anyway. My downfall is like overthinking things. So Narnia was kind of a nice little ticket of like, you actually don't have the opportunity to overthink what your voice is doing. Yeah. You're actually never going to give it a thought while you're on stage. Yeah. It's just going to be what comes out of you, what comes out of you. And if you just let it go, it'll be fine, because you have to think about this other thing. Right. So it was really cool in that sense.
That's
but
incredible.
A lot of growth, a lot of stretching.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now Joseph.
We
have to talk about Joseph.
Yeah.
I really want to talk about Joseph so much. And I know it seems like it's like a bucket list thing for you as well. So like my general question of like, what has it been like playing Joseph?
It's really funny. The first thing that comes to mind is the juxtaposition between Brother Andrew and Joseph in terms of what those shows require from their leads.
Yeah.
Brother Andrew asks a lot from the actor playing Brother Andrew. Joseph does not ask as much from the actor playing Joseph.
Okay.
So my first instinct to say when you say like, what is it like playing Joseph, is I'm literally just holding it against what Brother Andrew was like, and I'm like, it's a dream. I'm having so much fun. I'm barely breaking a sweat. Not because I'm not like putting everything into it, but because Joseph doesn't wear heavy clothing and he doesn't really move a lot.
Yeah.
Like he sings, he sings and he acts and he has a great time. But like, it's like Brother Andrew is so interesting because like the show is all like built around Andrew and what he's doing, and like there's very few moments where he's not on stage and he's not the one driving the action forward. Joseph is kind of the opposite, where it's like, sure, he's the lead, but the star of the show is really the ensemble. And like the ensemble was the star in Brother Andrew, but like the leads in these two shows actually fill very different roles.
Yeah.
Like in Brother Andrew is kind of like the driving force. Joseph is kind of like, whether it's just like by the hand of God or by what his brothers do or by what Potiphar does, like Joseph kind of is moved through the show in a really interesting way.
Yeah.
Where
things are kind of like
happening to him.
Yeah.
And what's so interesting is you get to see his responses to all of them, right? Because that happens so often in our lives where it feels like, oh my gosh, life just kind of feels like it's happening to me and I don't know. All that I can choose right now is how to respond to it, right? You know? Didn't choose to be sold into slavery in Egypt, didn't choose to like be in Potiphar's house, didn't choose to be falsely accused of a crime and be put in prison. Like, how do I respond to that? You know? But the star of the show is really the ensemble. And it's really, really fun because there's several moments where I literally just get to sit and watch them. Literally like sit downstage and just watch them because that's what's happening in the show.
That's amazing.
And it's like, there they go.
That's right.
Like, they're amazing. Like, there they go. They're dancing again.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like, it's almost like Joseph is a vehicle. Joseph, the character, is a means to the dance numbers. Like, the show is like, that's what the show is.
Yeah.
Like, the show is One More Angel and, you know, Pharaoh's Song and all of these, like, and Joseph is, I don't know. In some ways, it feels like Joseph is along for the ride.
Yeah.
I think it's very much a coming of age story, which is like, oh my gosh, you grow up and all these things happen to you and you have to figure out, you know, the way that I respond to them is like actually equates to the kind of man that I'm going to be, you know? And so it's really cool because like you see Joseph really step into that in like the last scene. It's really when it's like, oh, now actually he's the one in charge of the environment and here's the way that he uses his influence now, you know? So I really see it as a coming of age story and a story where like, just a show where there's a really amazing story. But the point is the music. Like the point is the ensemble and the music. And it's been really fun to just like get to watch that. Sometimes I get a little sad that I don't really get to dance with them. Like I'll watch One More Angel from the Wings and be like, oh, I want to do that. Like I want to do that dance number. But then at the same time, I'm like, I don't know, Brother Andrew. Brother Andrew kicked my butt in a way that like no show ever has. So this is kind of a nice little, like, yay, I'll do my part and I'll do my best. And I won't be like, I won't be an empty shell of myself after every show because I just did so much, you know? I'm having a blast. The cast is amazing. I'm having so much fun.
The cast is incredible.
Yeah.
And watching the show, so like I love what we do here at the George because I, you know, in marketing and I have to figure out how to make the posters and all this different kind of stuff. And a lot of it, because I wasn't raised in theater, so I'm very new to it. So I've watched like the bootleg versions on YouTube and everything. And every time I saw Joseph or heard a song, I was like, I don't know about this one, guys. I don't know if we're going to, you know, I always have a little hesitation. And then every time we do a show, it's like, gosh, but we do it so well. And it always comes out so good because we have like awesome people, and the cast, the ensemble for this show is so incredible. And by the end of it, I am also like, I really want to dance. Like I am not a dancing person. I am not a performative person. And I'm like, put me up on that stage, coach, and I will do my best, you know, because it's so much fun.
No, that's really the show's strength is that energy. And this show, I'll also add this as a side note, this show is really special to me because my parents-in-law, all-time favorite show. Really? My wife, Allie, learned how to sing by growing up listening to this cast album. And actually, like 6 days before we got married, she closed a run of Joseph at Theater Cedar Rapids in Iowa, playing the narrator. So like it's kind of like a really sweet full circle moment because I saw that show like 3 times, and she did that, and then we got married, and then like all these years later, like now I'm doing it and I'm playing Joseph, and it's really very sweet. I also just want to give a shout out to like Michael Jablonski, who directed this piece. On day 1 of rehearsal, he kind of laid all his cards on the table in terms of, you know, as a good director does, in terms of what his hope was for the piece and what he hoped that audiences would take away from this production and how he was planning to get there. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that he said was sometimes when it's too perfect and when there's too much like sparkle and it looks like too much like Vegas the whole time, you lose the heart of the story. And what I really want is, I really want every single character to be larger than life. I really want this to feel like a show that makes you feel like a kid again, that you could bring your kids to and feel really good about it, but also that makes you feel like a kid again. And that, you know, I mean, that's part of the whole set design too, is like that it looks like a storybook. Right. And there's just something, basically what I took away from that meeting was, I was like, okay, Michael Jablonski is about to do Joseph like how it's supposed to be done. Like, I think people try to reinvent the wheel, especially when you get a show that's like 50, 60 years old. 100%. And it's like, well, how do we do it better? How do we do it different? And I think what he did was he just said, actually, how do we do it exactly the way it's supposed to be done, to the extent where it's just how it's supposed to be done, but the thing that makes it stick out is that every aspect of this is going to be really excellent. Yeah. You know? Yeah. You don't go to this show and you think, oh, wow, they really reinvented, you know, the way that I thought about that. Or like, this is Joseph. Right. And it's like, it's one of the best Josephs I've ever seen, simply because it's so darn honest. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know. And my wife is such a critic, especially about this show, because this is like her show. Yeah. And when I came home from that first rehearsal and I was like, we're doing Joseph. I was like, this isn't Joseph in space. This isn't Joseph in Vegas. This isn't like, we're literally doing Joseph and it's going to be awesome. Yeah. And then she came to see it and she was like, yeah, that's Joseph. Like, she was like, that's literally all that I want from a production of Joseph. Wow. Is just like, high praise. I want all of it to be excellent. And I just want to feel like a kid again. Right. Like, yeah. So I really, really am a big fan of like his directorial concept, which was, you know, let's just fill out every piece of this to like the most excellent extent that we can. Yeah. And trust that there's a reason that this show has, you know, had life for 60 years. Right. Yeah. And it's really, I think it's really a special production for that reason.
I love that that's one of the things that Michael put in his like director's letter, was like reminding people that like this is like for kids, and like witnessing it through a kid's eyes like is so, and I think you just get that joy in it as well, that like no matter how old you are or where you're coming from or the kind of day that you had, like you can come and watch the show and be like, I'm safe and it's fun and it's just so good. And it hits that like storyline for our audiences particular, where it's like, it's not, I don't want to say like super like overtly Christian in the kind of way that like Brother Andrew was, but it's also not super just like you throw the story out, right? It's it's perfect for our audiences that like believers and non-believers can come and enjoy this piece of media. Like, it's so much fun.
Yeah. But I was actually just talking about that specifically with our Keys 2 player, Sarah, in the green room the other day, just like how the show walks such an interesting line, because it's like, well, it's the story of Joseph, but it's interesting because like the show never actually explicitly mentions God or like God's hand in Joseph's life, but like obviously that's how I'm playing it. But like it's yeah, it's interesting that way.
And you do such a good job of playing it. So if you haven't come and seen Joseph yet, this is the plug to come and see Joseph. There's only like 4 more shows, but come see it. But the way that you play Joseph, I love this like absolute like just childlike like naivety to you. You're having so much fun on stage. And so it makes when he gets sold off and then he's in Egypt and he's coming into power and everything, like those shifts so much more like prominent. Yeah. It is so like, and I love, and I've said this before, but all the little things that you're doing, if you have the opportunity to come see it multiple times, see it multiple times. Because you're doing something different every time, or you're adding little like things here and there, and the ensemble is adding little things here and there. Like I got to interview Kara, Riley, and Lizzie yesterday, and they're telling me about all the games that you guys are doing backstage.
So many
like,
games.
It's, you guys
so
are just,
many games.
and it's so, like you guys can just see it, how much chemistry you guys just have together as like a crew and like a team, and it's so, it reads so well.
Well, thanks, Miranda.
Okay, I have a couple like lightning round questions.
Okay, I'm scared.
No, you're good. You don't have to answer them like super quickly. But these
you said lightning, Miranda. You said lightning. I'm just kidding.
I know, but I always call it lightning. But it's just the same general questions. Okay, my first question that I'm gonna ask before like we get technically into the lightning round.
Yeah.
Do you realize? And this may I don't mean to send you in like into an existential crisis, but I'm genuinely curious of like this. You're doing the thing that you like wanted to do. Right? Like this is, and you've gotten to do it like so consistently at this theater for so long. Like, has it set in yet that this is like success? Do you define this as like success or that you've made it? Like, what is that?
I literally had a conversation with a patron in the lobby yesterday. And she said, oh my gosh, well, good luck to you. And I hope your dreams come true. And I kind of stopped her and I was like, I'm not going to lie. Like, they kind of did, like they really already did. Yeah. And she was like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "Yeah, I went to New York. I got to be on Broadway. I got to do a tour."
Yeah.
And even if I hadn't, like, all I want to be doing is working. Like I just want to be doing the work, you know. I want to be like the part of me that's a performer. Like, that's all it really wants to do. It doesn't matter where. Like, it just wants to do it, you know. So yeah, I can confidently say like, yeah, I do feel a great amount of just like personal and professional success in terms of just like, yeah, like this is where I'm meant to be. And this is where I live. And I just, I love being here. And I've always loved working at the George. And so living here and not thinking like, oh gosh, is my next job going to take me away from my family? Or like one of the reasons I live here is so that I can be in one place. Because, you know, as our family's growing and I'm seeing, you know, my child, soon to be children, like grow and be so small, I'm like, it's so nice to be in a place where I'm actually not pursuing jobs that are going to take me away. Like everything I want to do, I can find right here. Yeah. And that feels really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I had this moment, and specifically watching Joseph, where you get so bogged down in the like, oh, I have to make the bills, I have to do this, I have to do that, or this isn't selling, or whatever the case is. You get so bogged down in like the data of it, the grind of it, the survival of it. And I was sitting in there for one of the rehearsals, like editing the photos that I had taken, listening to y'all sing beautifully and dancing beautifully and everything, and I was like, you know what, this is actually, like, I forget that this is what it's about. It's about having fun. It's about getting to be creative. And it's about doing it for the glory of God. Like, you get so, like, bogged down. So, like, that was, like, my little question of, like, do you realize where you are? And I know that you do realize where you are. But I think it's also,
I didn't always, like, I've been very ungrateful at various points in my life when I wasn't doing what I thought I was supposed to be doing.
But that also transitions into, like, the next question that I have is, like, so if there is somebody out there right now who's struggling or who is in that kind of, like, grind of it, what advice do you have for them?
My first advice is always trust God. He knows better than you do. He certainly has known better than me for my whole life. And then my second advice, I mean, especially as it relates to, like, the arts or, you know, being a performer or being in the industry, like, it can be really easy to feel like you're not where you're supposed to be or you're behind.
Yeah, that's a big one.
We play the comparison game a lot, especially as young people. Like, are we doing enough to, you know, gosh, I should have, like, taken X amount of classes in this, or I should have studied harder at this, or I should have gone to more auditions because this person who's, like, you know, working laterally to me is, like, getting opportunities that I don't have. And we can really get into the, like, comparison game which will rob us of realizing where it is that we are right now.
Yeah.
You know, the thing I had to tell myself when I moved to New York was like, I would play that comparison game all the time with people around me who were booking the jobs that I wanted, or getting the contracts I wanted, or even just getting in the audition rooms that I wasn't able to get into because they had more connections or they'd been there longer, you know? And the thing that I had to keep reminding myself of, more accurately, the thing that my wife kept on reminding me of, was, you dreamed about living in New York City and getting the chance to audition to do this kind of work. And it's here now, and it's happening, and you're getting to do that. Don't miss it because of what you think you should have.
Yeah.
What you wanted, you got. And what you need, you will get. Like,
I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt.
Like what you wanted, you got. You're here in New York, you're auditioning, and you're gonna get what you need.
Yeah.
I don't know the timing. You don't know the timing. God knows the timing.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's performance, but like, your path led you here. This is what you wanted. This is where you wanted to be. So are you going to thank God for that? Or like, you know, are you going to compare yourself to the person who's been here 2 years longer than you and like shake your fist at this guy and say like, oh, why did they get that job?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's like very specific to like someone going to New York and living in that scene and trying to like book work as a professional performer is really that's a big part of it. Is remember where you came from and remember what you wanted. Chances are you're already in circles and already doing things that like you dreamed about when you were a kid. Just might not be all of them.
Yeah.
You know, but don't take it for granted where you are, you know.
Absolutely.
So,
Daniel, my last question is,
okay,
what makes working at the George Theater so unique?
For me, and this is specific to me.
Yeah.
Specific to me, what makes it so unique is it's very rare in this industry that like you kind of find a home, you know, in terms of a theater. I would describe the AD Players as like my home theater. It's where I've done the most professional work in my, you know, professional career. I always find myself working back here at the George, and it's just, I don't know, what's so unique about it to me is most of the time, if I'm going to book a job, I'm showing up and I'm meeting everyone from day one is a completely new person, right? Every time I come back here, it's like, oh my gosh, Kevin Dean, oh my gosh, Jamie, like, and I just, I don't know what's unique about it to me. And this is specific to me because I've been orbiting AD Players for so long and like been in and out. It's just, I know everybody here.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that comes to mind specifically to why I get excited to work here is like Hannah Smith, who was the primary stage manager for Brother Andrew and is on staff here at AD Players. She stage managed my first show that I ever did here back in 2011. And so like, it's just, so is like a family element to it that is really, really special to where I just know so many people in the building. So that's specific to me. But then, I mean, just working at a faith-based company is really, really sweet. I get the opportunity to like lead a prayer before every show at Joseph, just the 5 minutes before. We all take a breath and see if there's anything that like we need to pray about or any prayer requests. And like, what a special thing to be able to do that and have that be like company endorsed,
right?
You know, really, it's just really cool because there's been plenty of secular companies where, you know, I'll find if there's other believers in the cast, we'll find each other and then like we'll have our little prayer circle. But it's really cool to be in a company where it's like, oh no, we endorse that. Like we are also praying for and with you. And I've had ushers pray over me. I've had people who work in the box office pray over. Like, I don't think I've ever worked in a place where just on a Tuesday someone will pray over me. Like it's really very special in that way as well.
I didn't know that like prayers were happening backstage or like there was prayer circles, and that's what I learned yesterday with Lizzie, Kara, and Riley. And I'm like, that is so special, and I love that. Like, I love that I get to be a part of a company that does that. You know, that's so cool. Yeah. But Daniel, I could sit here and talk to you for another hour.
I know. I have to go do a show though.
I know, and I also have to like set up the lobby because I'm house managing
tonight.
You're
house managing tonight? Oh gosh. No, what you're like, oh gosh, how long is he gonna talk?
Well, like, no, I'm like, that's why I keep like, I gotta look.
I know.
Well, I'm getting text messages and I'm like, nobody's
How
yelling
long
at
is
me.
this guy
It's
gonna
okay.
keep going?
No, Daniel, I would sit here for another hour and talk to you if I could.
Oh.
And I probably will. We're gonna have to do this again because I still have so many questions that I didn't get to ask you.
Please
But we can also just talk outside of the podcast. Sorry, we're also friends.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
didn't mean to make it all about work. Daniel, thank you so much for doing this
It was
episode.
my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this was so much fun. And like I said, I want to do another one. So we'll see what happens. But
Hit me up.
thank you guys so much for watching this episode of By George. If you're seeing this and Joseph is still going on, so come and see the show. If you're watching this in the future, I'm so sorry that you missed Joseph, but come check out our next season, our 60th season here at 80 Players. We are doing a lot of plays and a lot of fun comedies next season, so go check them out on our website. Again, thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye. That's
Nice,
it.
nice.
It's done.
Hopefully there's something in there.
This has been By George, an 80 Players at the George Theater podcast, hosted and produced by Miranda Zapes. Listen anywhere you listen to podcasts and follow us on Instagram at By George Theater. That's THEATRE. Sure to like, share, and subscribe. And By George, we'll see y'all next time.
What did you eat? Your tongue is blue.
I had Gatorade.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
Now
I'm
gonna
so
be
sorry.
self-conscious
I'm
about
so.
it. The whole episode,
so
Daniel.
sorry.
Thank you so much.
Oh, no.
No, you're good.